Hi, everybody. Hello. Okay, Sana, so I think that we can start.
Okay, just give me a minute. Yes, I have sent a message to Dr. Walk, so let's see. Mm, okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to each and every one of you to for the third AI in Education Roundtable Back to School 2025 edition from Buzzwords to Real Classroom. It's no secret that AI has been one of the biggest buzzwords in education. And over the last couple of years, we have seen exciting headlines, ambitious promises, and a flood of tools entering our classroom. But as we step into the new academic year, the real question is, how do we move beyond the hype and build meaningful habits? That this discussion matters because teachers are looking for ways to make AI a genuine support system rather than an added burden. Students need AI literacy not just as a tech skill, but as a life skill that prepares them for the future. Parents and communities deserve clarity on how AI can strengthen, not replace, the human side of education. Today's roundtable is about grounding the conversation in reality, sharing lessons from last year's adoption, exploring classroom tested practices, and imagining how AI can truly enhance learning without overwhelming teachers. We are joined by an incredible lineup of speakers and practitioners who bring diverse perspectives from leadership, classroom practice, and educational innovation. Together, we'll debate, co-create a vision where AI in education is not just about tools, but about trust, equity, and impact. I'd like to begin by introducing David Curran. David Curran is an assistive technology lead and head careers at Moon Hall School with more than 24 years in education, spanning both state and independent schools. He brings a unique blend of classroom experience, digital strategy, and a strong commitment to inclusion. At Moonhall School, a specialist setting for dyslexic learners, David leads effort to embed accessible, future-focused tools from AI-powered chatbots supporting neurodivergent students to whole school digital adoption strategies. He also works internationally as a trainer and an independent career advisor, helping educators and professionals harness technology not just to comply, but to connect, engage, and transform learning. We are delighted to have David with us today to share his insights and experiences. Our second speaker is Fajaruddin Akbar, known as Fajar, who serves as the IELTS ambassador for Indonesia and the official GSC ambassador for his country. He is a TESOL TEFL educator and an educational technology practitioner with a strong focus on integrating digital tools and pedagogical frameworks to empower teachers and learners. As a trainer and digital skills practitioner, Fajar helps professionals enhance communication, productivity, and problem solving, while also exploring how AI can streamline tasks, create engaging learning experiences. He has also shared his expertise on international stage with British Council, Cambridge English, and Trinity College London, inspiring global audiences to embrace innovation and adapt confidently to the digital era. We are thrilled to have Fajar with us today to bring his global perspective and innovative vision. Thank you once again to our speakers for joining us today. To take us forward, I'm delighted to pass over to Andy, who will be leading the conversation from here.
Hi, everybody. For those that are watching us for the first time, we are Skilling Future. We are advocating for AI integrations in K-12 to reinforce AI knowledge and AI literacy through K-12 for educators, students, parents, and the entire ecosystem that involves K-12. So I am Andy, co-founder of Skilling Future. Here we have Sana, that it's part of the team, and also we have Shahida, that is founder of Skilling Future. We are really happy to see you here. And our roundtables are meant not only to have specialists in the room, but also you as educators that of many years. We would like to pass the mic to you also later on when we finish our initial discussion so we can keep on with the interaction. So, with no further ado, here goes the first questions. David, Fajar, are you ready?
Go, go.
All right. So I hope that the first week or weeks of school are not being so hard on you. I hope that we are coping well. So here goes my first question. When we talk about coming back to school, what is one AI related priority you think every school should focus on this year? Or at least when we say this year is like this in beginning of the new school year.
Do you want to go, Fajar?
Oh, mine? Okay, thank you. So, again, good evening from Indonesia. I'm Fajar and I'm from Indonesia. I'm basically an English language teacher. However, my context of teaching is kind of different. While I don't teach for public or formal schools, I provide language learning services to professionals and also teacher training for professionals in education, such as teachers and also professors. I would like to bring something up. I would just like to let everyone know that I'm getting better now. If some of you saw my past week post, because my country has just got better since past week, and I would like to bring this up, not politically, but how I see it as something that needs to be an urgent subject in education. So last week we had somehow an unfortunate situation and case, how media illiteracy could provoke chaos. And it's undeniable that it's also evident that there were things related to AI generated narration that also provoke the masses. So how I see it as an urgent subject in education related to AI and how we can bring it into the classroom, it doesn't have to be about teaching how to use ChatGPT as example, or teaching how to use a certain tool, but how to raise the awareness, or at least tell the students or in the classroom that there is this new technology, or not actually new, but there's this one ever-changing technology that we need to be aware of. Again, it's not only about the tool, but how we can raise our kids or students to understand that there are development in how we see media, and how is now media is really visible and seen as something of a source of information. So in terms of how we start the school, I really hope that we can bring this into the classroom. It's not about how to use the tools, but how we are actually aware that these tools exist inside or outside the classroom, and how we can tell the students, let the students know that these tools are now with us, and how we can be literate with these tools. So that's for my opening.
I'm going to come into that as well. My one word, Andy, would be consistency. Consistent use, consistent expectations. Just to kind of sort of bring it into context. So this is my 5th year starting at Moon Hall. We're over in England. We are dyslexia specialist school. So all our students are dyslexic. We've got sort of quite small cohorts, which means we've got sort of a strong SEN therapy base. So when I was brought in, we took this thing called assistive technology out of IT. So instead of sort of having these, I've beautifully heard it the other day, I'm going to steal straight from them. Instead of having sort of subjects going this way, assistive technology was seen as being something that goes across it. So things like text to speech, speech to text, mind mapping software, touch typing, for example. So we've been very, very fortunate, because it's on timetable, that we've been able to build a generative AI curriculum within our assistive technology. And I think sort of this, like I say, this is my 5th year. We've got student expectations of being able to use tech.
I think that we're having technical difficulties on your end, David, or is just me?
No, we are
Yeah,
not able to hear him.
yes, he is freezing.
Oh, okay. All
But
right.
I
So
would like to, Andy, before we move forward, I would like to add to the point that Fajar said. In
Mhm.
the recent conflict that we had in Pakistan, that was in May, and you remember it very well, the idea that Fajar talked about related to them being a media literacy and how much media illiteracy is adding to these conflicts. Because again, when people don't know about that, okay, this is AI generated content and what is happening there, when people are consuming it, sharing it, resharing it, and people who are not aware of what that is, how much that escalates into the dynamic. And a lot of times, this is being used to amplify and spread fake news that is not there. And yes, it is definitely the need of time that, okay, when we are talking to students about it, when we are raising points about that, okay, AI literacy in classrooms, this is an important point to discuss that, okay, how this ends up escalating more than tools that, okay, what the whole dynamic is about and what it can lead to. And this is such a big issue. And a lot of times when we talk about it, it's mostly about that, okay, this is AI influence, this is what's happening. But this is what the downside of a technology misuse is and how it's impacting societies.
I think that we could, like create an entire roundtable around that, especially if you guys are interested, those that are listening and being here with us today. Before we give the mic back to David, UNESCO has already released a couple of free trainings that you guys can join and enroll. They're open right now. I think that they released it September 2nd. So if you guys are interested in media literacy, this one is specifically for adults. But I think that if you have experience or you have, senior educators in your context that can help you repurpose it for, K-12, it would be wonderful. Okay. Now that we have David back, sorry, David.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, like technology is still not great. Guys,
Yeah.
2025 and we're still dealing with this like we lost you kind of.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't even know where we got lost in the flow. I always talk about sort of assistive technology as being our friend. It's there to help us. It's there to guide and help and assist. It's like you, but our friends, sometimes our friends have bad days, don't they? Where they don't quite do what you want it to do, or they feel a bit moody and temperamental. So yeah. So apologies there, folks.
No, it's
Um,
fine.
yeah,
Please
no, it's just talking
get
about
through it.
consistency. Yeah. So I think, and this goes back to what Fajar was saying. I think we've it's embedded in the curriculum now, and I think for a couple of years with this generative AI and sort of November 22 with Chat GPT, I think, and when I go into other schools as well, it's very difficult for some schools to start. It's like this grabbing for shiny wrappers. We're kind of being sold this AI, the ultimate. This does this does that, and I think what we've done at Moon Hall is, because it's now embedded in, we're making sure there's a consistent use rather than kind of looking for making sure that AI and AT is doing what we want it to do, rather than kind of seeing this shiny wrapper and going, oh, that, yeah, we could do this, we could do that. So yeah, consistency would definitely be my word.
I don't know, Fajar, if you have like anything to add to that, but I would say that before we even go to the next question, my addition to this is just very simple. Train your staff.
Yeah.
Make your staff AI literate. I mean, what is it that we're waiting for? Especially that now we are being enforced, especially if you're in Europe. We're being enforced by the EU AI Act. So it is really important for us to take the step forward into this matter, and as educators sort of like demand, if that is a thing, it's possible in your school, to get your training. So that being said, how do you see the role of teachers shifting as AI becomes a more common classroom, tool? Or when we're talking about AI, we're talking specifically about generative AI. So a lot of teachers still define it as help, but I already has gone beyond that barrier, and for me has become into how is it that I create new pedagogical ways of learnings and methods using AI. So I would like to know your views on this.
Shall I go?
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's kind of giving me personally, it's given me like different insights. So getting used to sort of what was quite nice for the first couple of years. I've been going on the journey with the students. So we've been using ChatGPT with our sort of 13s and above, and being able to sort of use it myself for how I want to use it, and then also seeing a different generation using it. It's been eye-opening for me. I kind of think traditionally in a particular way. So I'm a design technology teacher, so I go straight to pen and paper when I come to design, and then I sort of do my iterations. Then I might go to my laptop and generate it in 3D, and that's my process when I'm using AI a lot. I've kind of got these structures, whereas our students are just kind of diving in. They're just using it because it's just another tool for them. It's just another thought process. It's 24/7. They can ask it questions when they feel, not sort of on the last lesson of the day when they're feeling a bit jilted. They can have these conversations with AI, and they then bring those conversations back in and they talk to me. But sir, have you thought about this? Have you done it this way? And I'll go, oh, right. And I've started to use like LLMs. I end up in like more of a conversation where I'm kind of challenging the LLM. Can you do this? Can you come up with another way too? I've got 14 students. I need to introduce a new topic. However, 3 of them have got a reading age of 12 and 2 of them have got a reading age of 14. Can you give me different ins? And the fact that rather than, maybe a worksheet that I've been using for several years, I've now been able to digitalize that, which means that more students have got a way in. I can now rewrite that quite quickly and quite simply, in different reading ages, or I can, if there's one student who might not be engaging, but I know that they've got a dog at home that they absolutely adore, I can change my little worksheet so I can add the kind of the dog aspect. So it's being able to find different ways of producing materials for students to get on board. It's been able to personalize that learning for the students, and very quickly. I can do that sat in a lesson. If a student's not engaging, I can quite quickly get on board and create a new digital worksheet quite quickly.
All right. So first of all, I would like to say sorry in advance because my statement that I'm going to have would also mean more responsibilities and work for teachers. So again, related to literacy, it's undeniable that us as the frontiers in education, it would be our responsibility and jobs to have more literacy again about AI. Well, our students may or may not have used AI now. However, again, it's not only about how to use tools, but how they actually understand these tools, just like how they actually use social media. A lot of our students have their own social media accounts, even channels, but again, how they understand the impacts of what social media is. And I think it goes the same for AI. Another thing is that we would really need teachers to actually understand the difference between education and educational technology, because these days it seems to be a little bit similar. Because as we know, we have a lot of tools produced by educational institutions, and there are also even more tools published, produced, developed by technology companies in education that also sell their products to education. I would like to say some names, unfortunately, as example, like we really need to understand that Google, Microsoft, and other big companies, they are technology companies, not educational technology companies. They are in technology which provide education solution, they say. And thus, we really need to understand whether these tools or products are actually made for education or as a solution made by not education based industry or institution that try to reach the education market. So I saw this post and news somewhere. However, unfortunately, I couldn't find out. Just search it now. But it says like this: in the age of AI, it turns out that the students need teachers more. Well, I tend to agree, not only about AI, but in the this circumstance of time and era where information is very easy to consume, we need to have more scaffold, which guidance, mentor, and in this case, probably one of the biggest, could be the biggest impact is how teachers started in the classroom. So, well, though there are these narration and also news that, and it's starting now, we have more and more AI powered tutor or AI tutors, AI teachers. Unfortunately, to what I feel, they underestimate that the problem in education is not about the teachers, it's about the motivation of learning. If we think that if we think that AI can teach, well, it's undeniable. I have to admit AI may know more than me, 100%. They know more knowledge. They have more content and resources in their database. But what they don't know is if the students want to learn or not. Right? That's where I believe teachers' role would never end.
Yeah, we've had a couple of tutor modes, haven't we, from some of the big LLMs, um, which work on a general thing, but yeah, they don't necessarily work for all students within a class. It's so we use a MindJoy platform and we create our own little chatbots. And it means we can tailor our chatbots for our specific students. So we can train it on British Dyslexia Association or National Autistic Society data. So it's more empathetic towards their needs. So when they're talking to it, for example, if they're interacting with IDK for I don't know, rather than typing things out fully or speaking or conversing with it, it understands that maybe their interest level might be dropping or their literacy level is lower than the actual pitch that the LLM and is, and it'll simplify the language or it'll start asking them questions to try and engage more in it. Whereas, like you say, these stock standard, there's nothing wrong with them. There is a place for them. I'm not negating them. But yeah, this general kind of, AI platform or package that suits all or fits all, it doesn't. So yeah, that's when you're in the classroom. AI for me a lot of the time is like I was saying about access points, so I can get more students focused on what they're doing within the classroom, so that student who still needs, and I'm very much a human in the loop kind of person, that person who needs that teacher, that human being stood next to them to get them engaged, it means I can spend more time with those because those students are more engaged. So yeah, it's not about replacing a teacher with a something, because that something still has to differentiate. They've still got 12, 24, 32 students in a class. Everyone's got individual needs. As human beings, we're still better to be able to identify that in a classroom.
May I ask what strategies, David Fajar, have you utilized in the past or are thinking to implement in your classrooms related to specifically what we have mentioned right now? I mean, I do understand and I totally agree with you that our roles as educators definitely have to shift into being more or being better class managers and guidance rather than just, knowledge providers because information is already out there. We just perhaps have to outsource that information and digest it a little bit better for our students and then just let the learning happen. So what is actually your strategy? Or have you done it already?
Pajat?
Oh, someone is sharing a screen.
Are we sharing the screen? Okay, thank you.
Oh,
That was a glitch in the
okay.
system. There you go. The AI doesn't agree.
Okay.
The AI decided to do whatever it wanted.
Oh my goodness. All right. Thank you. Well, about strategies, again, my context of teaching. I teach adults, I teach professionals with their communication and especially, of course, English. And it turns out that teaching AI or even how to use AI is not as easy as we thought. I would disagree, very much disagree when someone says it's now easier with AI. Not at all. Not at all. I mean, like, so I teach mostly professionals working at companies, government institutions, or even teaching other subjects. And when I try to make them at least know about there are these tools that they can use to help them with their work and even with communication or even for them to learn English. But in the end of the day, well, probably because it's a different generation, they think it's just another tool in the internet. That is something that that I believe would also need to be aware of. That a lot of people that I have witnessed, they just think that this is just another tool. Well, it's another technology, so it's just another application on their mobile phone or even on their laptop. Okay, it doesn't really impact. Well, it doesn't have a big impact. However, the strategy that I have been trying so far is again to let them know that there is this tool now, there is this new technology, and it might affect them directly because they are in the industry now. They are in the professional uh, field, which highly probably their company is already planning to integrate AI into their work stream and also into their companies. So my strategy is how they can cope with this ever-changing technology. Not only about this AI, but how they can be again literate and aware there will always be new technology, and they need to admit they need to adapt and shift because it's undeniable right now. Well, I face it myself. I mean, like I witness it myself, where there are jobs that already replaced by AI. One of them is, as example, customer service, and then copywriter. Well, it's not replaced directly, as example, like, oh, okay, so I'm a customer service, and then AI took my job. However, like we can imagine it like this: one person can now do more than 3, even 4, or even 5%, or even a department job. So my strategy is to let them know that this technology may also we may need to adapt and shift into something that is more adaptable rather than just relying on one field in the industry, and so they can be at least ready on how they should shift in their industry using the technology. So it's not only teachers that need to be literate with AI these days, or it's not only us that need to be adaptable with this new technology, but it's already within every sector. Yeah, I think that's from my context.
Yeah. So we're talking about sort of using where we've used it within our teaching or to giving it to our students or so Yeah, like I say, we've got a big sort of suite of chatbots that we've been able to sort of dedicate to. So we've got subject specific chatbots. We've got SEN therapy support that they use them in order to be able to sort of analyze data quite quickly about students. And again, making sure we've got that human in the loop. We've got we've got teacher resource creation tools that are fixed to our school pedagogy rather than going on to some general LLM and it might not have a pedagogy, or it might be sort of grabbing from all different ones. It's trained to us. One of the best ones that I always like to talk about, we've got a careers one. And what I've found as head of careers is when we're speaking with the students, particularly our students that are leaving school and moving on to colleges and they're coming for applications, a lot of them don't have an idea. So you have that original conversation with a group of students. And one student in particular last year was kind of firing out those teenage boy sort of comments, laddish, kind of looking for the quick joke comments. And then I put him on the little chat bot and they all sort of played in the chat bot. And after about sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, just absolute silence staring at the screen. So I went on and kind of monitored his conversation, thinking he was probably looking at mountain bikes or the likes. And he wasn't. He was having these conversations. And at the end of that lesson, he'd written down, bound some feedback. And that's the greatest thing that's the best thing you've ever created. And then he came back and he found me at lunchtime to talk about his next steps. And when I spoke to his English teacher, apparently his autism and there's this pathological demand avoidance. While he was in a group, he didn't want to admit that he had no idea what he was going to move on to next. So he fired out these deflecting comments. When he had something in front of him, a tool in front of him that wasn't interrupting him, wasn't judging him, wasn't sort of, he could ask the questions. It didn't worry about the fact that his spelling was incorrect. It just gave him the information that he wanted. He could use it for what he wanted to. And for that half an hour, he was just totally focused and engaged. And then, like I say, he came back and he found me and we've had some great conversations. He's got his results and he's moved on, which is really successful. But as a head of careers, it just gave a tool to a student to give them the information that they needed so that when I had this one-to-one with him, we had a starting point, and I had an in. He had some information so he could ask questions of me. And it, rather than sort of spending half an hour finding out what he wanted to do, he kind of had an idea what he wanted to do. Now we could talk about how. So empowerment, it empowered him. And then it also gave us, like I say, beneficial time. It helped us with that half an hour rather than sifting through sort of initial things. We could sort of get into the meat and bones and have a really good conversation. So it's that start with a human, give them the tool, and then get back to the human beings. So yeah, I'm fully with you. It's not a tool to sort of replace human beings, definitely not. But it's a tool in the toolbox.
We still have to be very careful though, because we do understand that a lot of our students, younger and not so young, they utilize this as therapy. So we always have to warn them. I'm especially, for example, this month, at the end of this month, I'm going to have a special live on my Instagram specifically, and I'm going to be talking about that, how to talk to specific large language models. Specifically when I'm the one that I always go to is ChatGPT because it's the one that most of people on Earth use. And let's face it, at least in my opinion, it's the one that has so far like the best, let's say, voice model when it comes, sort of like making or mimicking human, etc. Right? So we have to be very careful because we have to warn when we're going that place, that you mentioned, David. I think that we have to warn our students to detect and utilize or have their antennas on when it comes to you're being manipulated by AI. Be careful. Like remember that there are certain words that should trigger your alarm bells, that sort of thing. And still not even there, and still not even then things can happen. So in any case, for those that are watching this, if a teacher is present, that would be the ideal moment. But if the students are doing this as things that are like for homework or when an adult is not present, I'm talking specifically about minors. My recommendation is to do it with a specific guardrail, and later on, if it's something, if it's possible to show you the conversation so you can see more or less what is it that they were going. Otherwise, it's not completely safe, right, guys? I think that we can all agree on that one.
Yeah, the platform that we use, I can live monitor conversations, and it also red flags as well. So certain topics and conversations sends me an email. So even if they were using it at home for careers of an evening, it would still flag me with an email. So yeah, I think you talked about there, but as a teacher now, it's more making sure that we're providing safe and ethical spaces for our students to use AI. Fajr mentioned it before. It's kind of making sure that they're using it for the correct purposes because they're going to use it,
Yeah.
whether we acknowledge it or not.
Yes.
Our young people are using it.
Yeah, and I mean, to give, fresh news for those who don't know it yet, OpenAI have launched September 2nd. They were talking about the new guardrails for parental control. They are still, working on that. I think that for the entire month of September, they are going to insert it, and they're going to be doing several publications about that. But I think that this is an important step. Thank you. Like almost 3 years later, but it's okay. I mean, like that was something that should have been done like from the very beginning, but it's fine. I mean, at least it didn't take a decade for them to realize that. Hello, Dr. Kwok. You made it.
Yeah, hello, and sorry, sorry for being late. Yeah, um, I was locked outside a little bit, and my phone's dead. Um, it was raining over here, the rainy season in Ho Chi Minh City, and sometimes, yeah, it's rain, um, we say unexpectedly.
It's
Okay.
fine. We're just happy that you're here and that you made it and that you can join the conversation. So far, to give you a little bit of context, we have covered, like beginning of the school. We have been talking a little bit about strategies that we have implemented. So since you're here, I'm going to put you in the spotlight. So let's move on. And we were talking about AI literacy as well. So AI literacy is often mentioned, but what does it actually mean in general lines for students and for teachers already has a very specific meaning, but still we have educators that are reluctant to sort of like get on that. And of course, the parents, which are an essential part of the educational ecosystem. So please go ahead and let's answer that one.
Yeah, I think we've been talking about AI and AI literacy for a while, right? At least like 2 or 3 years. Um, but I think AI literacy is now is not only about knowing about AI or knowing, how to use ChatGPT or things like Gemini and things like that. So AI literacy is more than that. It's much more than that. Now we need to understand that, right? We need to see how it works and how we can, as students and teachers, we can use AI effectively or purposefully, like some of you mentioned earlier. In my context, I feel a little worried about this, Um, in Vietnam, for the last few, I think 2 months, we were in the summer holiday before the back to school time. So a lot of teachers in my city, they were trained on how to use AI to teach in class effectively. I was not there. I was not there, but I feel like, two sides. One thing I feel happy that teachers and students they are prepared for using AI or understand AI and use it in class. The other side is I feel a little concerned and worried, um, unsure about if they know exactly how to use it correctly. I think this morning I came across a kind of a fun pictures on the internet on the Facebook. Two I remember I remember at that time I said that I will have to bring that pictures to our talking today, but no, I don't know where it is. But it's like this: two photos. The first one, the brain asking a student about the tool the student is using, and the student say, and the brain say, what is that? And the student say, this is AI, and it help us think about think, it help us work, it help the brain works. And then the second one, the same person, the same brain, and the prompt is the students asking the AI, give me a wish for a birthday. You give me a wish for a birthday, right? So the student, they ask AI to give them a wish so that they can send that wish to their friends on the birthday. And then, the brain stand behind and say, I think we should learn how to think again, right? I mean, the brain say, I think we should learn how to think again. So my worry here is we are too reliant on AI in thinking. So now AI literacy, back to your question, Andy, AI literacy is more than knowing that we know how to use AI, but how to use AI, but still keep our brain working, right? Keep our brain working, and how to control AI, how to make it work the way they want, the way we want, to help us improve ourselves, not to help us reduce the time or reduce the thinking and things like that. I have an interview in one of my, I think, the newsletter special edition 21. There's an interview with Kate and another person I don't remember, but they say like they have a framework for AI literacy, AI fluency, and AI innovation, things like that, like 4 stages, and AI literacy is the first stage only, right? So I uh, I may uh, I may find that again, and then I send it to you. Very clearly, AI literacy now is only the first, or the first step, or the beginning. Yeah. So my thoughts about AI literacy is it seemed to be something we tried to make about 2 or 3 years ago, and now it is only the first step. We need more than that.
Yeah, I love the bit about
Yeah.
not replacing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be adding it to our lives to enhance our lives rather than to dumb
Yeah.
it down and make it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even myself, I have a very clear feeling that I am getting more lazy in thinking when I have AI, right? When I have, even when I drop an email, in the past we have to think very clearly. Now we just put a few dots, and then they made it. And even for very simple edits, I ask AI to do it. So it that's a very clear feeling that I have.
so what are you
Yeah.
doing with the extra brain power that you would have been using? Are you using that elsewhere?
I think that I I do not make use of AI to stop thinking, right? But I use it to save time. But why we do it? While we're doing that, we accidentally reduce the thinking skill, reduce the thinking, practice, and then we become naturally lazy in thinking. So that's very dangerous. Yeah.
I think Andy mentioned before about sort of make. There's been a couple of sort of highlighted cases, hasn't there, of young people taking their lives because of that attachment to generative AI and various chatbots and the like. Yeah, it's making sure that we are still thinking and also engaging in the real world. I find myself sometimes that I'm like, I've got to physically go, oh, I've spent 2 hours sitting there doing something, whereas previously I'd have been like family time, or I'd have, phoned my mum or something, and or somebody recently posted, a friend of mine posted, and he said that he'd got something wrong with his car, and he was really proud of himself because he'd used ChatGPT in order to be able to look up how to repair his car. And he was really proud of himself until he realized that normally he would have phoned his dad and he'd have had a conversation with his dad. So I think we've got to make sure that we keep that, like you say, the thinking skills, the human skills, the interaction, that it's not replacing what we are as we're human beings, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay, I would like to start with two things well related to AI literacy. But there are these two things that I've always been against with. The first one is using AI as shortcut and humanizing AI. There are two things that I'm truly against with. And I've been trying my best to narrate it well to propose my beliefs. First one is that I don't think we actually save time. Well, we do save sometimes with the internet and also with other technologies. We have always been, or humanity has always been trying their best, our best, to augment our skills, to augment our energy into something else, which are tools and not only AI. And probably now humanity is trying to augment their brain or to augment their way of thinking into something else, which is here AI. The second one is humanizing AI. Well, I don't want another human. Like I don't want AI to be the human. I'm the human and AI is the tool. So I don't think humanizing AI is actually logical. We would like to use them as a tool. And in terms of literacy, my best take is how we actually understand them as a tool. They are technology, they are tools, and that's it. That's how we should view them. And there are certain fundamentals, knowledge and understanding of how to use tools. And I like when David mentioned about his friend repairing his own car by asking ChatGPT. I think that is the thing beyond using AI. Not that we only save our time, but we do something that we couldn't do without AI. That's what I believe how we can expand and extend tool as our extension instead of augmenting what we actually do, what we can to a tool, but how we can extend what we can do with a tool. And that's what I believe is also a part of literacy and how we should feel this new technology. That again, first one, we just don't want it to save time. Second, we don't want it to be a human. We don't want it to be another us, but we make it as an extension of something that we couldn't do without them. Now we can. That's my take for this.
And my house is full of labor-saving devices. I don't sit around doing nothing very often. Yeah, it's not giving me any more time in my life.
But actually, with AI now, and we compare like 3 years ago, um, the first time we had ChatGPT, right, 3 or 4 years ago. Now it extremely advanced, and for all of us, and even for ourselves, right, and for students, it is a temptation to use AI in the work, right? And this is our job, I think, our job to make students understand and know when to use it, when to use AI, um, while they can still learning things from their teachers, from their peers, and from the environment. So I think that's very important.
I was thinking that, well, for example, the next question is all about promoting students' agency. One of the things that it's a little bit shocking for most educators right now, especially now that we're starting this new school period and that we have, probably received the horrific, email like you have to get on with these and that tool. We're now going to use this AI, or probably as an educator, you have received that email. And one of the things that some of my peers have told me is, listen, I don't know if I can trust my students to study on their own, to do things. I mean, basically to let them think without me being there guiding them. So one of the things I educate basically teenagers from ages grade 9 to grade 12, and then higher education as well. So this is actually really interesting for me. So the key word for me was trust. So you didn't trust your students at all to start with. Let's start with that one. And then we, put AI on top. So the question goes like this. How can we make sure AI tools empower student agency rather than replacing student thinking or creativity, since it has been mentioned before?
Andy, before we start the questions, can I share a bit about the 4 stages of AI literacy that I mentioned?
Yes.
Just a quick look. A quick look. Can I send it now?
Yes. Now you can share the screen.
Okay. Okay. So you can see my screen, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the interview I made with these two, Stacy and Kate. So they created a framework on AI literacy. Okay, and yeah, this is that the framework. So start with AI literacy, knows about AI, and then AI fluency, thinks with AI expertise, lives with AI, and AI innovation, reimagines with AI. So this is the framework that they made, the 4 components of AI, we can say like AI understanding or AI literacy. So if you have time, you can think about, you can read this.
Yes.
Yeah, I think very
This is coming
useful.
out. This is coming out in your next magazine issue, right?
No, this is the one in I think it was 2021, which is I think May. We issue this one in May, right? And this is a special edition. This is special edition about AI and sorry, a
Yeah.
special edition. Yeah, AI and us. This is a special focus AI and us, the new harmony in education. And yeah, over here we have a list of articles about AI. So yeah,
That
I
sounds
recommend
amazing.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, please share the link with us so we can put it on the so we can put it in the chat.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
thank you for mentioning like framework, because I think that let's always take a step back and let's get back to our question, which was to giving our students some agency, right? So I do believe that we have to revisit the concept of helping our student to study. They in many ways, our students, especially I'm talking about teenagers, and not to mention when they are in college years, they really don't know how to structure their studying. And they really struggle with that. A lot of teachers, they sometimes have to manage really large groups. For example, I myself, when I was working in Latin America, I even had a class of 40 plus kids, and it was really hard. And you don't have support, so you struggle with it. So imagine that when and you want to try to do your best. The same happens from the student side. They want to do their best. So how is it that, again, we can encourage their agency when studying?
I think Fajar mentioned it before about it's just us being human beings as teachers. So a lot of it is kind of the inspiration, giving them starting points, giving them reason. I'm, you know, not, hello.
Yes. You're still with us.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a case of a student when you set a challenge or when you set a task, it's not a case of it being an obstacle or a barrier that a student just needs to get over. You're giving them a challenge or a task in order for them to find something that they want to do within that. So they're developing their skills within that. I think education, we need to start looking at education. I think somebody's mentioned in the chat things like project-based learning. So rather than sort of single assessment or assignments, building projects around it, multiple, where they need multiple skills, or it might be that there's more people involved that they have to get involved with. It's, as teachers, it's us to make sure that students want to learn. So they're learning to learn rather than learning a fact, which we can Google now, can't we? Never mind ChatGPT. So it's giving students a reason to want to learn. I think as a teacher, that's my role now.
All right. I would like to go. So I believe this is one of the things that I mentioned. Tech companies are underestimating. Well, before AI, as example, we have had already so many self-learning apps. Let's take Duolingo now, where the CEO stated somehow a very controversial statement, right? I don't want to mention the statement, but they're underestimating the self motivations of learning. So it's not that we don't want our students to learn by themselves. Oh, we really want. Let's say I believe everyone here will somehow agree if our students can study effectively only by using AI. So they can expand their knowledge, they can learn so many new things, learn skills. Well, we would be very happy with that. We would be very happy if, let's say, there is that one tool, students can just do it by themselves. But as we know, it's not the thing. Right? It's not the thing that actually solves the situation. It's that students need reasons and motivations, and it's somehow still challenging for teachers to actually ignite. While my situation is, my context of teaching is, I'm very lucky in my context. Like my students don't care about cheating, which somehow a lot of teachers are very worried, concerned when it comes to using AI, because I don't give grades, I don't give any marks to my students because they are private clients. They don't really care about getting A or 100 because they see them as something meaningless somehow, unfortunately. So the ones that the ones that can feel whether they are improved or whether they improve or develop are themselves. However, again, I mentioned it. I would like to mention it's very difficult to actually tell them. Let's say, oh, there is this tool now you can have a conversation with, so you can practice your English anytime, anywhere you like. But no, no. Well, it's kind of difficult, and I don't think, again, I don't think that companies are aware of that. And we, as teachers, are the ones who 100% show and know what the students actually need in terms of learning things and facing the world. So again, in terms of igniting the agency of AI, there could still be, or we still need to build some kind of framework, or let's say assignments for the students so they can use AI to do something that they couldn't do without AI. That's probably would hinder cheating because, well, they need to use AI in the first place. However, how they can use AI to do something that they couldn't do without it. I know the burden would be the assessment. How can we assess this new thing? Okay, where we are very used to assessing them by giving incorrect or correct answers. Yes, so that's my take for now.
Yeah, I'd like to add right to what Fajar said about assessment. One reason we worry about the way students are learning is the way we assess them, right? We evaluate them. If we still focus on the right or wrong answer, or we focus on the result, the product, then it's very difficult for us to stop students to use AI incorrectly, or how to ensure that AI empowers their agency. What I mean here is we need to assess the process rather than the product. Yeah, I think David mentioned earlier that the project-based learning is one thing, but not only about a project. For example, in setup, we grading student essay, for example, in English. So we grade the essay. We should not focus on the organization or the ideas, because that AI can help very easily. Now we can ask them to show us the process, the evidence that they make that writing with AI. So we look at the process. For example, how can you challenge the AI's idea? How can you change? How can you make the AI change the idea? Something like that. I mean, the process is very important. So that one, we can help students use AI to empower the agency, like in the questions, or also we make them feel they want to learn, right? So focus more on the process rather than the product. So that is one thing I think we can use AI to help students with their agency.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you used to get in maths, you get like a 4 mark question and a maths question, and 3 marks were for the working out, 1 mark for the actual answer. Yeah,
yeah.
show your
But that's
working
it. Yeah, but that is very difficult. I think in the Vietnamese context, for example, still now the assessment, they focus a lot on products. For example, in English test is very similar to an IELTS test, where students have to make the answer correct, right?
out.
And the test do not assess the student's process to get to the correct answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and some students might be happy with a grade B, so they won't
Mm,
push themselves to try and get that grade A.
that's right.
They've
Mm.
done the task, they've kept themselves out of trouble, they've handed the homework in.
Yeah, well, let's
Yeah,
remember that we
thanks.
normally we're goal-oriented because we want to please our parents to start with. There is an entire education system that feeds itself by that, and there are entire societies, that work specifically when it comes, to being competitive and being goal-oriented, and it doesn't matter as long as you're there for the kill and that sort of mentality rather than the process. So there are many things that are definitely negative about, utilizing AI or not, etc., ethical, no ethical, but it's definitely, like highlighting many aspects that were flaws in the system before. So, to this said, I would like to open the mic to everybody else in the room. So the question here that Shahida posed earlier was,
Sorry,
where,
sorry,
yes,
Andy.
Fajar.
Before moving on, I would like to, since Dr. Kwok mentioned about IELTS and other language tests, something
Yes.
that I also believe is very urgent and also very important in this age of information, as we know that, well, common English language test or any proficiency test only test how you answer. And I've been asking this question a lot. I haven't seen any test that assess how to ask, which I believe is a very important skills these days, and how we ask something, especially how we ask AI and how we ask ourselves whether we need to use AI and whether these AI answers are something that we can believe. So I think asking questions can be the very important skills that we also need to let our students know, and we deeply consider about.
No, I am with you about that one. I mean, I think that it's this one can be initially solved by teaching our students better prompt engineering, because in the end, prompt engineering always leads to sort of crafting this already embedded mental framework, for students to organize human thought that generally is never linear. So we can start from there. Now, as I was saying, thank you, Fajar, for that last pointer. As I was saying, let's open the mic for everybody else in the room, our guests are the ones that are going to keep up the conversation with those who would like to participate. And Shahida asked, where do you see the role of school leaders? Do schools need, I don't have my glasses today. I don't know where they are. That's why I'm like, sorry guys. So where do you see the role of school leaders? Do schools need any AI integration roadmap? There you go. I made it. Who would like, while that sink in, remember that for those that are here for the first time, the way that we do the open the mic thing is that we just, raise our hands, or just today we are an intimate group. So you can just open your microphone and jump in.
I think as school leaders, a bit of a caveat: AI can be quite low on your priority when you're talking about attendance and grades and funding and the school building and your attendance numbers and
parents.
Yeah. So I think AI can be sort of quite low down the list as a school leader. Me personally, I see the benefits of it. So, I bang the drum. But like I say, for lots of established institutions, educational institutions, AI is still quite low down the list. I think we're seeing a big disparity now between the haves and the have-nots. Those that have got access to IT, if you've not got access, if your students don't have access to IT within the school, then how big a priority is AI? I think it was Fajo I mentioned before, or talk about making sure that the minimum we should be doing is making sure that our staff are educated on it. We are a school. As a teacher, I'm an employee. So, if we were another business, would you be making sure that your employees were trained up on that? I think you probably would, wouldn't you, to try and get that little bit of extra profit, maybe. So yeah, train your staff, train your employees, make everybody aware. Definitely, at least be having the conversations.
Now, another big question is that how is it? We have been dealing with parents our entire professional careers. This is a big one, especially because you do have to have a special touch, a special psychology to work with parents, because you're working with their most important treasure, which is or are their kids. So, and for us it is as well. So how is it that we factor in the parent in this equation, that right now they're having another thing to worry about?
I would like to go with about school leaders. I used to be an academic manager for 3 years, overseeing more than 300 teachers, because I work for a language school with many branches. When AI, popularly, became famous back in 20, like almost 2023, right, when ChatGPT came out. My first step was how I can use this and how I can tell about this thing, because I believe this would affect, because every time new technology comes up, it would affect education like drastically. So the first thing that I try, of course, trying the tool, because we didn't have that many resources to actually understand what they are, except for something related to IT, like programming and so on. Right. So I tried the tool myself, and then, okay, this can have something to do with education. This can, let's say, help teaching, creating materials, and so on. And then, many webinars came up, and what I tried back then was to raise the awareness again to the teachers that there is this new tool, and kindly be aware of this one, because this might also affect education in a scale, not only in terms of, especially because I work for a language school, and as we know, AI is very close to language. This might affect how we learn language and how we deliver languages, because this tool is based on language. So again, what I tried back then was to try to raise awareness of there is this thing now. Try to explore it, and there's only one step. I tried.
All right, so keep transparency with the parents. I like that one. We have somebody from the audience, angry.
Hi, hello.
Hi, hello. Sorry
Hi,
if
hello.
if I pronounce your name wrong. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Okay, my name is Angri Muhtia. You can call me Angri. Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm a latecomer. I just came in. I just joined in this group. So, uh, well, I'm trying to figure it out what you are talking about, guys. But to be honest, I'm just a learner. Um, as you know that English is a foreign language in Indonesia and even though I graduated from English department for my undergraduate study, uh, I consider that my speaking skill is still awful. So that is why uh, when I use AI, ChatGPT, and Gemini AI for practicing my speaking skills, it is like I find a partner, a trustful partner who is not judgmental, who will not judge me, and I just find that well, I can improve my English by communicating, having voice voice chat with this AI or chatbot. So and then I'm thinking of writing an article about this because I don't know guys whether my these statements um, relate to what you are talking about because you just talk about parents, about schools, but um, what I want to say is that um, using AI for personalized learning for students. For example, I take myself as the learner because I think that using AI for uh, practicing my speaking skill is uh, very beneficial. Okay, and then um, but I don't know how to use AI for my students, for the students, because maybe they will be overwhelmed with the technology and the language itself. So, do you have any idea, guys, how to make it easier for students, especially the Indonesian students who uh, uh, who actually do not speak English in their daily activities? Um, do you have any what did I call maybe uh, articles or something that can be a resource for me to use? Maybe okay, that's all.
When you write it, Angry, I want a copy of it, please. Please, please, please let us know how you've used it. We all understood what you were saying there. So if you've used that to help you learn English, then bravo. Please write the paper and send it to me. I'd love to know.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I'm beginning to write a paper, actually, article about this. Well, it is about auto. What did I call? It is based on my own experience because at that time, uh, it is just I was so excited to find. It is like I was so excited to find Gemini AI and ChatGPT where I can use voice input to for English speaking practice. That is why I at that time I wanted to share my experience with the English language the English teachers in my region, and I had like a workshop with them, and actually I asked them uh, to explore together with me the use of the ChatGPT and Gemini AI. Well, most of the teachers were actually excited about this, but when I asked them to send me the uh, weekly reflective journals about their exploration about ChatGPT and Gemini AI, they only some of them sent me the journal. That is why I tried to write an article, a paper based on my experience. Maybe later I will send you my draft. Maybe.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Angry, because your example is a very specific one because it's for English as a second language, which we appreciate. And by the way, for those who don't know that, we also have an ESL lab on our website. Because, for example, Sana and I myself, we are ESL educators for a lot of years. Well, let's not say how many, so people don't calculate the age. But in any case, it's important for us that you're giving us this feedback because we have a plan to introduce a specific roundtable for ESL about the matter. But going back to the question of how is it that, because you ask, Angry, that how is it that we can better our students' experiences utilizing AI? That was your question? Okay. Okay. So, David, Fajar, Kwok, would you like to give us sort of like a liner there? So, like very quick advice that Angry can apply?
I think I can start since I believe Andrea and we are in the same context. We are from Indonesia. I also sent the link to my recorded webinar with Cambridge last week. And since I presented and demonstrated about AI assisted speaking practice, however, what I introduced is not like, well, I introduced a little bit, demonstrated how to use like a tutorial. However, what I emphasized there was how we can actually understand whether our students can or allowed to use these tools. Because somehow one of these things that we sometimes skip is whether they are eligible in terms of privacy and also the privacy policy. As example, let's say for some tools, let's say ChatGPT or as simple as Google account, someone or an individual needs to be at least 13 years old or maybe certain age in different countries. And I need teachers to also be aware of that, whether students are allowed to use these tools, because there is this very big impact of how an individual or a pupil can use something that they should. Like that. And in terms of AI speaking practice, it's breached a lot of gaps, especially in Indonesia, where we don't actually use English every day, or it's quite difficult to have a situation where we can use English to practice or even to work with. And AI breached that gap where we can have a practice with AI. Again, it's not judgmental and it can be personalized. However, this personalization I mentioned in the previous, in another webinar, this personalization can also lead to a confirmation bias. And confirmation bias can be, unfortunately, very harmful in certain situations. As example, let's say if our pupil or an individual are directed to use AI for their therapy, as example, or to confirm an information, or to confirm some news, or a belief or something, without the literacy of, again, literacy, information literacy, and media literacy, we need to scaffold our students or pupil, or even everyone, even ourselves, that this might be a confirmation bias because it's too personalized. What AI is giving us, what these tools or robots gives us, are the one that we want to hear. That's what we need to be aware of. again, back to speaking practice. Well, that's a breakthrough, I must say. However, when it comes to learning a language, it means we learn information, it means we learn message, it means we learn about the world. And as we know, again, AI might not, or these tools, or even anything in the internet might not be factually correct or even trying to provide a fact, especially with AI, because they are very, very personalized, which is very great, which is very fun. We can talk about anything with it, and they somehow understand us, but it might lead to confirmation bias. So that's my take for now.
But maybe maybe we can
Mm.
use the ChatGPT and Gemini for review the material or review the material. I mean, for example, because we can use because because we can use the voice input, right? So
Yep.
maybe for example, okay, maybe the next meeting there will be a passage about a reading passage about something, okay, and then uh, before the meeting maybe teacher can assign students to copy the reading into ChatGPT or Gemini AI, and then listen to uh, the audio, and then after that the student can read aloud after hearing the the chatbot voice or audio. Then the student uh, have the know how to read the paragraph, and then ask the student then read aloud the paragraph based on what they hear. I mean, it is only in my imagination because I haven't done such kind of thing, because it is just in my imagination. Maybe we can use ChatGPT and Gemini AI, or maybe Copilot and etc. Such kind of chatbots to uh, practice speak pronunciation, or maybe reading aloud. It is just uh, to to what should I call? To enable students to get exposed uh, to English with the pronunciation like native, because as we know that the audio or the voice of the ChatGPT and Gemini AI is like native.
Now,
It
and
is only in my yes.
uh,
Okay.
yeah, sorry. Um, I am so sorry to cut you off like that, especially because this part of the conversation, me as an ESL, teacher, I would be listening to you for hours. I swear. And those who knows me, they know that I am for real about that one. But I would like, usually our roundtables are an hour and 30 minutes. We would love to see you on the next one. The next one for those who are regulars are going to still happen on our regular days, which is a Wednesday, for our next month, right there in October. And we're going to be posting about that one very soon. It's going to be all related to ethics and AI governance. So please stay tuned for that one and how to think about it when it comes to applying it to your schools. So, Sana, I think that you had your hand up for a second, and Shahida, if you'd like, you can close up next.
Yeah, I just have a quick question. Usually, when most of the time, what I've seen in roundtables and in conversation, it's educators talking about classroom practice. And we are the ones who are handed down a policy that has been developed somewhere else, and we are not on that table. How do we bridge the gap, either bringing the teachers to that table or the leaders or those decision makers to the classroom to see that, okay, this is what works in practice, and this is what the policies you're devising for schools, and that's not practical. For example, you're talking about implementing a certain tech. Maybe there is a big digital divide. Our device is available, our teachers trained. There is this assumption that just because our students use AI, they would be AI literate. Just because our teachers have devices, they would have that training as well. So, how is it that we bridge that divide between policy and between practice? Because, yes, policy is there, and most of the time they're so perfectly designed and they look really very good on paper. But when it comes to application of the policy, that's a different dynamic altogether. So, how do we take educators to that table where decisions are made? So, what
Yes.
can we do?
David, Fajar, and Kwok, please give us just one liner, very short, so we can wrap it up. Well, I meant one liner, like metaphorically. It can be a paragraph, like it's short.
I think just it's having the conversations. It's having the conversations, making tools, making examples, making case studies available. But yeah, it's keeping up the conversations.
Kwok, Fajar, would you like to add up on that on that one? Your microphone is off, David.
I didn't hear send a question very well when the network is up and down a bit. So can you send can you summarize your question a bit?
I just talked about that. Okay, there is a big difference between policy that is given to us by our educational institute, which is given to us by our education ministries, and the practice in the classroom. That is very different. The reality of the classroom is very different. So, how do we bridge the gap between what practically is done and what policy basically says, okay, implement this. This is what now our vision, AI vision for our countries, AI vision for our continent is going to be. And the reality for classrooms is pretty different. So, how do we take either educators to the table where policies are made or policy makers to the classroom? How can we do
Yeah.
that?
So I think the best way is to bring the policy makers to the classroom, right? So that they know what going on in the classroom. But actually, yeah, I agree with David when he said a conversation. Now I understand. That means that we need a lot of the one who bridge the gaps is the one who can voice what happened in the classroom to the policy makers, really like the school leaders or teachers who has a voice. But usually teachers they don't care much about making things better in the big scale. They just want to have their lessons go well, right? But actually, their voice is very important. Their voice is very important because that's actually reflects what reality is in reality. So I think um, have good conversations, have good forums, and things like we are doing now to make the policies fit the reality. Yep, that's my thought.
Okay. Well, it's a big thing, especially here in Indonesia. We haven't heard anything from the policy makers related to AI awareness and AI literacy. And well, but as you know, teachers are very great. They have been consolidated and trying their best to figure out how we can mitigate the worst case scenario of using AI while also trying to their best to grasp and also cope with a lot of possibilities of these new technology in the classroom. So hopefully that this policy can also be made from the ground, which is from teachers for teachers, from teachers for students, and even parents. Because I always believe that when it comes to rules, regulations, and policies, those who actually understand the situations are those who face it in their today life. So that's it. Thank you.
Yes, and there's the tendency that I think many education system, they try to integrate AI as much as possible. It's like a trend, right? but they may not understand, well enough or good enough about how AI can be integrated effectively in class. So yeah, there needs a lot of voices from teachers.
That's it.
Yep.
May I add something to it? Okay, Sana, you have asked a very interesting question, how to bring leaders on table. So I believe that there are two types of leaders from my experience. One are those who are instructional leaders. So you will not face any difficulty to bringing them on the table because you will find them all the time in classrooms and hallways, having discussions with teachers, meeting students, and they are much more concerned about improving whatever they have in their hands. I'm talking about the teaching learning process. The other type of leaders are those which are much more concerned about admissions, about ratings, about money, about funding, and all that. So I believe that, and I always say that we invest a lot of time, energy, and funds on educating teachers, on creating awareness for teachers, students, and somewhat to parents. But I believe that mm, the group that needs more training, more awareness, and who need to lead schools from front, they are the leaders, because no initiative can be successful. Teachers, to some extent, they can do things, but when it comes to providing resources, when it comes to other things, they cannot do much. And when something gets wrong in schools, and when it is reported to the school leader, and then they have no choice but to put all the blame on those poor teachers who have just dared to do some innovation, who have dared to bring some novelty in their classes. So I think that it is very, very important and very, very crucial that leaders should lead schools in front. They cannot deny this thing. I do understand, David, what you when you said that for leaders it might be the last or maybe second last or third last priority. But I think that the way things are evolving, not only in the western part of the world but also in eastern part of the world, it will not be anymore a choice thing to do. They have to set it to their priority, because as Andy was talking about, that there are so many ethical and governance issues that might be arising and that might be popping up at such a very fast pace, that at the end of the day they will be left with no choice but to get into the pool with teachers and with students and with parents. So thank you so much, all of you. I have been noting down so many things, and I've got brilliant ideas for our next sessions, next roundtables. So thank you so much. That's all. Andy, would you like to wrap up?
Yes, just as a reminder, every time that we have a roundtable, we are going to be surrounded by amazing guests like the ones that we had today. Thank you, David, Fajar, and Dr. Kwok. We are really, really thrilled to have had you today. I hope that for those that are going to watch this recording later on, find as many takeaways as we did today. Remember that our next roundtable is going to be in October, the first week of October on a Wednesday. We still have to confirm the speakers, but the topic, we already have it. And as I mentioned before, it's all going to be about ethics and AI governance. We hope to see you there. Guys, that was it for today. It's a wrap. Thank you so much for coming, and see you guys soon. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Bye bye
you.
now.
Thank you, teachers.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.